That was great. It was great. It was great to be a part of that clubhouse every day, to get a feel those last couple of days of being at Citizens Bank, being a part of those exhibitions, kind of seeing yourself in that big league uniform. So it was just a great experience, and that's all I wanted to do, is try to make their decision tough, and I think that's what I did. He had a lot of positive things to say. He told me I handled my business like a professional and did everything they could ask me to do, and they just asked me to continue to do that down here. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Rhino and how he runs the club, so I'm anxious to get this season started and continue where I left off in big league camp.
It's never anything that anybody wants to hear, that they're not making a team, but I've been through it before, and you can't dwell on it for too long, otherwise you're not going to be able to do the things that you need to do to get back there. So you take it in stride and get ready for the season. You need to come down here, you need to play well. That's what everybody here has to do to get where they ultimately want to be.
For me, I think health is the biggest part. A lot of people have looked at the last 2 seasons that I've had and how they've been ruined by injury, and hopefully we can stay away from those this year.
We went really well. Seems like spring training gets longer and longer every year, but excited for it to be over and to actually get the season going. But I felt like I left everything on the table, so I got no regrets, and I'm not going to be upset about being here. We got a great group of guys, so I'm actually excited about it. I told myself as long as I know I did my best, or I did well, and made the decision hard for them, that I was going to have no regrets, and I feel like I did that. When it gets down to the wire like that, my heart starts pumping a little bit. I was like, am I going to be on there? It's just one of those things where you really wanted to know something. I found out, I think, in the last hour that they were supposed to make the finalized roster yesterday, so I was anxious to know, just so I can, start planning for where I'm going to be.
I was good in the aligning a lot with the older guys, big league guys, and they teach me and talk to me about how I'm gonna pitch with a hitter and something like that. And now I feel really, really good.
Were there any other pitchers or the catchers that shared something with you, or something?
Carlos Ruiz, he told me how I'm gonna pitch, if I need to throw like the ground ball on the dirt or something like that, and mix it up the pitches, and they help me a lot.
The Nationals, Michael Taylor, this kid is the real deal, and he'll fill in for Span. They won't miss a beat there. Rendon, that's a loss. Jason Worth, they can even cover because they knew about that. They knew about that.
Time to prepare for it.
Yeah. Rendon really hits them hard, and that's one that you really have to worry about a little bit if you're a Nationals fan. And some teams seem to have this happen where it's like one injury after another throughout the season.
Yep.
And you've got to hope that, this isn't the start of one of those things for the Nationals.
And one of the things that I also like coming out of their training camp is they're not using this as excuses. They're not saying, okay, we're going to take the first month off because we're without the first 3 guys and we have some question marks with the bullpen and we're not quite sure of all the bench pieces right now. They're still saying, we're going to go out, and this is our year. We're going to go out and win the World Series. Despite what Joe thinks of the Nationals, I think they're clear-cut favorites to win the World Series this year.
I think they are. I think
That's not what you were
I don't say
saying
the
earlier.
World Series. I think they're clear-cut favorites to win the National League East, and I'd say 50-50 odds to win the National League pennant. I think there's a couple other pretty good teams, Dodgers being one of them. So, but I think the Nationals certainly are the team to beat in the division that we all watch.
Yeah, one reason why I would put the Nationals above the Dodgers is I've never been a fan of teams that, the old Yankees philosophy, just give money to this guy, money to that guy, money. All of a sudden you've got a collection of egos where it doesn't work.
Highest payroll in baseball.
And I'm always leery of a team like that. The Toronto Blue Jays tried to do that a few years ago. The Marlins have tried to do it a couple of times.
Baltimore.
It just doesn't always work. So I'm a little bit leery of the Dodgers. Let's see how they do. So the Nationals, I think, are, to me, the favorite in the National League. And the thing if you're going to be a good team or a great teams all have depth. And they find ways to cover up these injuries and compensate for them.
And since you're talking about starting pitching, is the National starting pitching good enough with 5 solid starters? And they have 7 games against the Phillies the first month of April. So with all their injuries, do you think they have enough starting pitching to stay into the race until Span and Worth and Rendon come back?
Yeah, I do. You know, and people always say you don't win pennants in April. I disagree. If you miss the playoffs by 1 game, and let's say out of those 7 games with the Phillies in April, they lose 4 of them, that's where you lost it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can look back at that and say that's where we lost it. So I do think that they have enough weapons that they can at least remain competitive enough. And the National League East isn't going to be very tough. The Mets are going to be pretty good. Marlins will be improved.
Any national players? And we talked about them trying to buy now and going all in for this year, but they have made some adjustments. They've made a couple trades. We mentioned Detweiler traded for prospects, but who are some of their players to keep an eye on going forward?
I admit I had to do some research on them and take some notes.
We appreciate that.
But Michael Taylor, to me, is the big guy. You know, now he's going to get some major league time. And I really like this kid. He's going to be a big-time player. Lucas Giolito is a young ball player that they've got. All of the skills. You know, he's a right-handed pitcher. Good command, keeps the ball down, and gets good movement on it. And those are things that you look for. You know, I think those are guys that the 2 top guys, position player and a pitcher that I really like in their system. Now, again, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, like we talked about, will they deal some of these guys if they find a hole on their team. So we'll see. But they've got the options to do that. Like I said, they're the 9th best organization, minor league organization in baseball. You know, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I know their Syracuse team is in AAA. I get to see them quite a bit during the year, and they're always good. I mean,
yeah,
they're
Syracuse is going to be fun to watch again this year. Tony Gwynn Jr. will be on Syracuse.
He's with Syracuse, yeah.
And the Nationals cut Kevin Franson loose the other day.
Yeah, I saw it.
Which, you know, I thought was a little bit surprising. But again, you know, they've got a good ball club, and it's tough to win spots.